Aaron stood at the edge of the alien lake, his boots sinking slightly into the wet sand. The water stretched out farther than the eye could see, calm on the surface but strangely heavy in its silence. The sky above was pale green, the sun faint behind a curtain of clouds, and the air carried the scent of minerals and moss. Aaron's breath slowed as he stared at the lake. Somewhere beneath those waters lay the secret he had traveled across light years to uncover. The planet was called Luma by its native people. It was a place of rivers, lakes, and endless wetlands. Villages floated on rafts of wood tied together with vine rope, and the people lived in harmony with the water. They spoke of legends passed down for centuries, stories of Jade warriors who once protected their world. According to them, these warriors had been buried beneath the largest lake, sealed inside a tomb no one dared to approach. Some said the warriors would rise again if disturbed. Others believed the tomb was cursed, that anyone who entered it would never return. Most explorers dismissed these tales as simple myths. But Aaron was not so quick to ignore them. He had studied maps, records, and strange energy readings from the lake. He was certain that something unusual was hidden below. Beside him, his crewmates unloaded equipment from their ship. Mara, a skilled engineer, adjusted the controls of a scanning device, her dark hair tied back as she frowned at the numbers. Darren, the pilot, stretched his arms and looked at the lake with little enthusiasm. He was never fond of water. Behind them stood two alien guides from the local village. They were tall and slim, with skin like smooth stone and eyes that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Their names were Olin and Rima. "This is not a place for humans," Olin said in a calm but firm voice. "The tomb beneath the water is sacred. If you disturb it, the warriors will not forgive you." Aaron turned to him with respect but also determination. "We do not wish to disturb your past. We only want to learn. There is something down there, something your people have protected for centuries. We believe it may help both of our worlds." Rima shook her head, her eyes filled with unease. "The last time our ancestors spoke of the tomb, the waters rose for 7 days. Villages were drowned. Many lives were lost. Do not go deeper than you must." The warning did not weaken Aaron's resolve. He had seen the readings himself. Strange pulses of energy came from the lake's depths, unlike anything their scanners had recorded before. It was not natural. It was not an illusion. Something was waiting below. Mara spoke up while checking her scanner. "Aaron, the signals are stronger today. They're steady, like a heartbeat. Whatever is under there, it's alive or at least powered by something that still works." Darren groaned and crossed his arms. "Alive is not exactly comforting. Are we really sure this is worth it? We could end up at the bottom of the lake with those warriors." Aaron gave him a steady look. "Every great discovery begins with risk. Humanity did not reach the stars by staying safe on the shore." The group fell silent for a moment, listening to the gentle sound of the lake lapping against the sand. Aaron crouched and placed his hand in the water. It was colder than he expected, a chill that seemed to reach past his skin and into his bones. But instead of fear, he felt a strange pull as if the lake itself was calling to him. The local villagers had told him of dreams. They said those who were chosen by the lake often saw images in their sleep, jade statues, glowing green eyes, and a gate beneath the water. Aaron had dreamed of all those things since he first arrived. That was why he could not turn back now. "Tomorrow," Aaron said at last, standing tall, "we begin the descent. Tonight we prepare the vessel. If the tomb is truly down there, we will find it." The guides exchanged worried glances, but they said nothing more. The humans began to set up camp by the shore, building a platform for their equipment. Mara ran checks on the diving vessel, a small craft reinforced with strong plates and pressure shields. Darren argued about rations and oxygen tanks, but in the end, he helped too. Olin and Rima remained apart, speaking softly in their own language, their eyes never leaving the still surface of the lake. As the green sun dipped lower, the sky shifted to shades of blue and violet. A cool mist rose from the lake, and tiny lights flickered across the surface, glowing insects that drifted above the water like lanterns. Aaron sat by the shore, watching them, his thoughts heavy but clear. He remembered Earth, where great cities stretched into the sky. There, knowledge had built towers of glass and machines that reached the stars. But knowledge had also brought danger. Wars, pollution, and hunger had once nearly destroyed his world. If the tomb truly contained wisdom from the past, it could mean hope for both humans and the people of Luma. Perhaps it could be a gift that would prevent both civilizations from repeating old mistakes. Aaron closed his eyes and listened to the whispers of the water. Somewhere below, ancient guardians waited. Were they protectors of treasure or jailers of a curse? He did not know. But tomorrow he would find out. As night spread across the alien sky, the campfire burned low, and the surface of the lake shimmered in the dim light. Silent and endless, it hid secrets that had slept for centuries. And now, for the first time in generations, those secrets were about to awaken. The morning came with a silver mist spread across the lake. The surface was calm, yet it seemed to hide a restless spirit beneath. Aaron rose before the others, his eyes fixed on the horizon where the green sun slowly climbed into the sky. He felt the weight of what was to come. Today, the waters would no longer keep their secrets. By the time the camp stirred, Mara had already finished checking the diving vessel. The craft was small but strong, shaped like an oval with reinforced plates and glowing lights fixed along its sides. It had enough space for 4 passengers and supplies. The pressure shields hummed softly, ready to endure the crushing depths. Darren paced nervously as he packed oxygen tanks into the vessel. I still think this is madness. People were not meant to sink into alien lakes searching for ghosts. Mara gave him a sharp look. If you are this afraid, maybe you should stay on the shore. Darren shook his head. Leaving you all down there? Not a chance. But when the statues start moving, don't say I didn't warn you. Olin and Rima, the local guides, stood by the water's edge. Their expressions were unreadable, but their silence carried a heavy warning. At last, Rima spoke, her voice calm but cold. The lake remembers. Once you enter, you may not come back. If you see the warriors, show respect. They are not stone. They are guardians. Aaron nodded. We understand. But knowledge hidden forever is knowledge wasted. If we find it, we will honor it. The humans gathered their equipment, and with Olin's help, they pushed the vessel into the water. It floated gently at first, like a harmless toy, but once inside, Aaron felt the weight of the journey pressing down. The hatch sealed, and the vessel's lights flickered on, casting pale beams across the dark water. Engaging descent, Mara said, her fingers moving across the controls. The craft hummed, and slowly it sank below the surface. The world outside shifted at once. Light faded, swallowed by the lake's green darkness. Tiny glowing fish darted past, their bodies shining like living lanterns. Long ribbons of plant life waved in the current, brushing against the vessel like fingers. The water grew colder with every meter they sank. Inside the vessel, the crew sat in silence. Only the steady sound of the engine filled the air. Aaron pressed his hand to the glass, staring out at the strange beauty. He felt a strange pull again, the same calling he had felt when he first touched the water. Minutes passed. Then Mara leaned closer to her scanner. Look at this. Energy spikes ahead. Stronger than yesterday. Aaron's heart quickened. We're getting close. Suddenly, the craft shook. A strong current swept around them, as if the lake itself was pushing them back. Darren grabbed his seat. What was that? Did something hit us? No, Mara replied quickly, adjusting the stabilizers. It's the current. Too strong, almost unnatural. The vessel tilted but managed to steady itself. Outside, shadows moved. Large shapes swam in circles just beyond the light. Aaron narrowed his eyes, trying to make sense of them. They looked like enormous fish, but their scales shone with a metallic gleam. The creatures did not attack, only circled, as though guiding them downward. Are they protecting something? Mara whispered. Aaron's voice was low but steady. Or warning us? The descent continued. At last, the scanner beeped sharply, and the mist outside began to clear. What appeared before them made the crew fall silent. A massive structure rose from the depths, half buried in silt and weeds. Carved pillars stood like watchmen, their surfaces covered in glowing jade lines that pulsed faintly in the dark water. Broken statues leaned against the walls, their faces worn but still proud. The tomb was real, larger, and grander than any of them had imagined. Darren let out a long breath. I can't believe it. It actually exists. Aaron leaned forward, eyes shining with awe. The tomb of Jade warriors. The vessel hovered near the entrance. A colossal gate blocked their path, sealed shut with intricate carvings that glowed brighter as the lights from the craft touched them. The carvings showed warriors standing in rows, each holding a spear, their eyes made of emerald stone. Mara's scanner beeped again. Aaron, there's energy flowing through those carvings. Strong energy. It's old, but it's still alive. Aaron touched the glass, staring at the gate. It's waiting. This is not just a tomb. It's something more. The current grew stronger, as if the lake was restless. The vessel rocked slightly, and outside, the glowing fish swam faster, circling the gate. Then, without warning, one of the jade symbols lit up brighter than the rest. A low hum filled the water, deep and heavy, vibrating through the hull of the vessel. The crew froze. What did you do? Darren asked, his voice tight. Nothing, Aaron replied, his gaze locked on the glowing symbol. It responded on its own. The hum grew louder, echoing like a heartbeat through the depths. The gate trembled, dust and bubbles rising as if something inside had awakened after centuries of silence. Mara's voice was barely above a whisper. Aaron, the legend said the warriors would rise if disturbed. Aaron felt both fear and wonder in his chest. The tomb was alive, the guardians stirring in its depths. He did not know if they would welcome or reject him. But he knew there was no turning back now. The descent had brought them face to face with the unknown, and the first trial of the Jade warriors was about to begin. The humming did not stop. It grew deeper and steadier, filling the water with a sound that was more than noise. It was like the lake itself had begun to breathe. The crew sat frozen inside the vessel, staring at the colossal gate as the jade carvings glowed brighter. Each line pulsed like veins carrying energy, and the statues carved into the stone seemed almost alive. Aaron leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the gate. He felt the vibration through his chest, as though it had reached into his very heartbeat. It is responding to us, he whispered. Darren gripped the edge of his seat. Responding is not always good. Maybe this is the part where it crushes us. Mara adjusted the scanner, her brow tight with concentration. No, wait. Look at this reading. The carvings are channeling energy outward, not inward. It's like they are testing us. Before anyone could reply, the ground below the tomb shifted. A cloud of silt rose as the earth rumbled. Out of the shadows, massive shapes began to move. At first, the crew thought they were broken statues dragged loose by the shaking. But then they straightened, standing tall with the weight of warriors who had never forgotten their duty. The Jade warriors had awakened. Each one was carved from dark stone with veins of glowing green crystal running through their bodies. Their faces were stern, their eyes bright with emerald light. They carried spears longer than the vessel itself, and though their movements were slow, there was no mistaking the life within them. Darren's voice trembled. Those are not statues. They're alive. Mara's hands tightened on the controls. Alive, or something close to it. The vessel drifted backward slightly, its lights reflecting off the warriors' polished surfaces. For a long moment, the guardians did nothing but stare. The glowing fish circled around them, forming strange patterns in the water, as though completing a ritual unseen. Then one of the warriors raised his spear. Instead of attacking, he pointed toward the gate. The carvings on the gate flared with green light, and the hum shifted into a rhythmic tone, almost like words spoken in a forgotten language. Aaron felt a sudden clarity. He could not explain why, but he understood. The warriors were not simply guarding the tomb. They were judging. They want us to prove ourselves, Aaron said quietly. This is a trial. Olin's warning echoed in his mind, if you see the warriors, show respect. Aaron bowed his head slightly, pressing his palm against the glass in a gesture of peace. The warriors responded. Two of them stepped aside, creating a narrow path that led closer to the gate. The water trembled again, and the light from the carvings pulsed faster. Mara looked at him with unease. Are you sure about this? No, Aaron admitted. But I know we have to follow. The vessel moved forward, guided between the towering guardians. Their glowing eyes followed every motion, unblinking and stern. It felt less like entering a tomb and more like walking into a court where judgment had already been decided. As the vessel reached the gate, the hum changed again. The glowing lines spread outward across the stone, forming shapes and symbols. Some looked like stars, others like rivers, and still others like warriors standing in a row. The carvings shifted until one symbol remained, a circle divided in half, one side glowing bright, the other side dark. Mara frowned. It looks like a test of balance. Aaron nodded slowly. Strength and wisdom. Light and shadow. It's a choice. The largest warrior stepped forward, planting his spear into the ground. The force shook the water, sending ripples across the silt. Then he extended his hand. The stone fingers opened slowly, revealing a glowing orb of jade light resting in his palm. Aaron's breath caught. The orb pulsed like a heart, radiating warmth even through the water. It was an invitation. Darren's voice was sharp. Don't touch it. For all we know, it will crush you. But Aaron knew what he had to do. He unstrapped himself, moving toward the hatch. Mara's eyes widened. Aaron, you cannot step outside here. The pressure will kill you. I don't need to step outside, Aaron replied. He placed his hand against the glass, directly opposite the warrior's hand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the orb flared, and a beam of light passed through the water, connecting warrior to vessel. The glow enveloped Aaron's palm, warm and steady. The hum ceased. Silence filled the depths. Then the gate began to move. The massive stone doors, untouched for centuries, shifted slowly apart, releasing clouds of ancient air and silt. The sound was deep and mournful, like a sigh from the past. Behind the gate, a vast passage stretched into darkness, lined with more glowing carvings. The path to the heart of the tomb lay open. The warriors did not attack. Instead, they lowered their spears and stepped back, their emerald eyes watching silently. The trial was not over, but they had allowed passage. Aaron sat back in his seat, his hand trembling. He looked at his crew, his voice steady but low. "We have been accepted." Darren swallowed hard. "Or spared." "For now." The vessel drifted forward into the newly opened gate, the guardians fading behind them. As the shadows swallowed the light of the lake, Aaron could not shake the feeling that something far greater awaited inside. The Jade warriors had tested them, but the true challenge had only begun. The vessel glided through the open gate, swallowed by shadows. The glow of the jade carvings lit the walls of the tunnel, showing images of warriors marching in formation, rivers flowing across worlds, and circles of light and darkness locked together. Every line seemed alive, pulsing faintly as if watching the humans move deeper into the tomb. Inside, the air felt heavier even though they were still submerged. Aaron sat at the front, his gaze steady. He could sense that the trial had only begun. The guardians outside had been the first test proof that they were willing to face fear. Now something more awaited them. The tunnel widened into a chamber so vast it seemed to have no ceiling. The water shimmered with light from hundreds of glowing jade crystals fixed in the walls. In the center stood four massive pillars, each carved with symbols that shone brighter as the vessel approached. Between the pillars floated strange-shaped spheres of light, drifting like lanterns in the current. Mara slowed the vessel, her eyes on the scanner. "There's no machinery here, no engines, no power source. And yet this chamber is alive." Darren leaned forward uneasily. "Alive with what?" As if answering him, the spheres of light moved. They swirled around the vessel, then split apart into groups, each drifting toward a different crew member. One sphere pressed against the glass near Aaron's face, glowing with a soft green light. Another floated by Mara, while two more stopped in front of Darren and the guides. The chamber hummed. The carvings on the pillars shifted, forming new symbols. This time they showed groups of figures working together, lifting heavy stones, solving patterns, sharing tools. Then the images split, showing groups that fought and failed, their circles broken, their lines scattered. Aaron understood. This is a trial of unity. They want to see if we stand together or fall apart. Before anyone could reply, the spheres of light pressed closer. The vessel shook, and a powerful force pulled at them. One by one, each crew member was drawn into the light. The world spun, and suddenly Aaron was no longer inside the vessel. He was standing on solid ground, though he knew it was not real. Around him stretched a vast hall of stone, lit by jade torches. Mara appeared beside him, confused but alert. Across the hall, Darren and the guides appeared as well, each separated by tall walls carved with symbols. Darren shouted, "What just happened? Where are we?" Aaron looked around, calm despite the strangeness. "It's part of the trial. The warriors are testing us in different paths. We must find each other again." The walls shifted, forming a maze of stone corridors. Strange sounds echoed: footsteps, grinding stone, rushing water. Aaron and Mara exchanged a look, then moved forward together. Their first challenge came quickly. A heavy slab of stone blocked their path, too massive for one person to move. Aaron pushed with all his strength, but it would not budge. Mara joined him, and together they shifted it just enough to squeeze through. Behind them, the stone slid back into place, sealing the path. On the other side, they heard Darren's voice faintly through the walls. He was calling out in frustration. Aaron cupped his hands and shouted back, guiding him to follow their sound. Meanwhile, Darren and Rima faced their own trial. A pool of water stretched across their path, deep and swirling with hidden currents. Darren hesitated, afraid of sinking, but Rima stepped forward calmly, offering him her hand. Together they crossed, balancing on narrow stones that rose just enough above the water. When Darren nearly slipped, Rima caught his arm. Without her, he would have fallen. The maze forced each group to rely on one another. Aaron and Mara solved puzzles carved into the walls, matching glowing symbols in the right order to unlock gates. Darren and Rima overcame traps of rushing water and falling stone. At last, the paths converged, and the four of them met in the heart of the maze. But the trial was not finished. From the shadows emerged a final guardian, a jade warrior larger than the rest, its body glowing with brighter lines of green. It carried no spear, only an open hand. In its palm floated two crystal shards, one glowing white, the other black. The guardian's voice echoed in their minds, deep and steady. Choose. Aaron stepped forward, his heart pounding. He understood the meaning. The shards represented division. If they chose one, it meant separation, strength for one group, failure for the other. But if they refused, it meant unity, the choice to share or to fail together. Darren's instinct was quick. Take the white one. It looks safer. But Mara shook her head. That's not the lesson. The maze was about working together, not choosing who gets power. Rima bowed slightly to the guardian. We will not choose. The gift must belong to all, or none. Aaron raised his voice firmly. We choose unity. The guardian's eyes glowed brighter. The shards dissolved into light, rising like smoke into the air. The warrior lowered its hand, then stepped aside. The maze walls melted away, and once again they were inside the vessel, surrounded by water. The spheres of light faded, returning to the pillars. The chamber grew silent, but the carvings on the walls shifted once more. This time they showed humans and aliens standing together, sharing knowledge, building side by side. The symbols pulsed with approval. Aaron let out a long breath. We passed. Darren sank back into his seat, pale but relieved. Barely. Mara gave a small smile. But together. The vessel drifted forward as the chamber opened into a new passage. Ahead lay the heart of the tomb. Whatever treasure the Jade warriors had guarded for centuries was now within reach. And yet, Aaron knew the hardest test might still be waiting. The passage opened into a vast chamber, larger than any the crew had imagined. The water here shimmered with a strange green light, reflecting off the walls covered in jade carvings. Ancient murals depicted warriors standing guard over glowing objects, rivers of light flowing between them. The glow came from the floor itself, which pulsed faintly, as if alive. Aaron pressed his hand against the glass of the vessel, staring in awe. This is incredible. Mara leaned closer to the scanner. The readings are off the charts. This energy is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's almost conscious. Darren swallowed hard. Conscious energy? That sounds like a trap waiting to eat us. Olin and Rima remained calm, though their expressions were tense. This is the heart of the tomb, Olin said. The Jade warriors did not guard treasure for wealth. They guarded knowledge. The real test begins now. The vessel floated closer to the center of the chamber, where a large pedestal rose from the lake bed. On it rested a sphere, perfectly smooth and glowing with bright jade light. The sphere hovered slightly above the pedestal, as if suspended by invisible forces. Streams of energy flowed from it, connecting to the walls, the ceiling, and even the water around them. Mara's eyes widened. That has to be the source. That's what's been powering the tomb. Aaron's heart raced. He knew this was what they had come for, though he could not have imagined the beauty of it. It's beautiful, and alive. Darren muttered, alive, powerful, probably dangerous. Aaron stood, his voice calm but firm. We do not take it lightly. We come to learn, not to destroy. As if hearing him, the sphere pulsed brighter. The water around it rippled, and then a soft hum filled the chamber. Images appeared in the water, mountains rising and falling, rivers flowing into seas, humans and aliens working together, sharing tools, planting crops, and healing the sick. Mara gasped. It's showing us, knowledge. Technology. Ways to live better. Aaron leaned closer, studying the images. He saw designs for machines that could clean polluted water, devices that could grow food in barren soil, even medical tools to heal injuries quickly. The Jade warriors had preserved this knowledge for centuries, hoping the right beings would find it. Rima spoke softly. This knowledge could change everything. But it is not meant to be hoarded. It must be shared wisely. Olin nodded. That is why the warriors test the hearts of those who enter. Only those who value unity over greed may take it. Darren shook his head, still nervous. If we touch it wrong, we could trigger traps, or worse, destroy it. Aaron placed his hand near the glass, opposite the sphere. A beam of light connected his palm to the sphere, and the images grew sharper. The knowledge flowed into his mind not all at once, but like threads of a story being woven together. Mara did the same, her eyes wide. She gasped at designs for energy systems, for medical tools, and methods to communicate across great distances. Even Darren, hesitant at first, felt the pulse of understanding as he watched the sphere. It was then Aaron realized the greatest treasure was not the sphere itself, but the wisdom it contained. Centuries of civilization preserved in crystal form, waiting for someone who could understand its purpose. The Jade Guardians outside the chamber remained still, watching silently. Their green eyes glowed faintly, as if approving of the crew's careful respect. Aaron spoke quietly to the others. We cannot just take this for ourselves. We must use it to help everyone, humans, aliens, and anyone who needs it. Mara nodded. The tomb has chosen us because we work together. We must honor that trust. Rima added, the knowledge is not a weapon. It is a guide. Use it well, or it will be lost again. The vessel floated closer, and the sphere pulsed brighter, as if responding to their agreement. Aaron realized that the tomb was more than a place of testing. It was a message from the past. The Jade warriors had built this chamber to teach respect, cooperation, and the value of knowledge over wealth or power. Darren finally relaxed, though he remained cautious. So this is the real treasure. Not gold or jewels, but understanding. Wisdom. Yes, Aaron said, his voice firm with determination. And we must carry it carefully. Share it fairly. Help those who need it. That is why we were chosen. The hum of the sphere slowed, and the water calmed. The glowing light softened, bathing the chamber in a gentle green glow. The wall's carvings shifted one last time, showing humans and aliens together, building a future with cooperation and respect. Aaron pressed his hand to the glass one last time. We have found the treasure. But it is only valuable if we use it wisely. Mara smiled, her eyes bright with hope. Then let us make sure we do. The vessel turned slowly, preparing to leave the chamber. The Jade warriors outside remained vigilant but peaceful, their test complete. The tomb had given them a gift beyond measure. It was a treasure that could change worlds if humanity and the people of Luma honored it. And for Aaron and his crew, the true adventure was only beginning. The chamber's glow dimmed as the vessel floated away from the central pedestal. The Jade sphere's light still pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Aaron stared at it, feeling the weight of responsibility. The knowledge they had discovered was not just a gift, it was a test. And now, the final choice awaited them. Olin spoke first, his voice serious. The Jade warriors have shown their trust. But there is one last challenge. Only one species may claim the knowledge fully. Humans or the people of Luma. It is not our decision alone. Rima nodded, her eyes steady. The choice is yours, Aaron. Your people have proven courage, wisdom, and unity. But the Guardians ask, who will carry this knowledge forward? Aaron thought of Earth, of its struggles, its mistakes, and its need for hope. He thought of Luma, of a people living in harmony with nature yet limited by fear of the unknown. And he thought of his crew, humans and aliens who had faced danger together. To claim the treasure for only one species would betray everything the Jade warriors had tested. Mara broke the silence. Aaron, you know this is not just about humans or aliens. The choice is about cooperation. About trust. About sharing what we have learned. Darren shifted uncomfortably. And if we refuse? If we don't choose one side? Aaron's gaze met Rima's. Then we choose unity. We share it with both. That is the only way to honor the Guardians. The Jade sphere pulsed stronger, sending ripples through the water. The carvings on the walls shimmered, showing the two species side by side. Humans and Luma people were learning from each other, building, healing, teaching. The images grew brighter, showing success, growth, and harmony. Aaron placed his hand against the glass, steady. We will share this knowledge. Humans and Luma together. Nothing more, nothing less. A deep hum filled the chamber, vibrating through the vessel and the water around it. The Jade warriors appeared at the edges of the chamber, their massive forms glowing brighter than ever. They moved slowly, encircling the vessel, their emerald eyes focused on Aaron and his crew. One of the warriors raised a hand. From its palm, two beams of light extended toward the vessel, one white and one green. The beams touched the hull and flowed into the water, connecting with every crew member. The vessel shook gently, not with danger but with approval. Olin whispered, they recognize your choice. It is correct. You honor both your people and ours. Rima added, this is not just a gift of knowledge. It is a bond. By choosing unity, you have proven that cooperation can overcome fear and greed. Darren let out a long breath. I did not think we could succeed. But we did. Together. The Jade warriors lowered their hands, and the beams of light withdrew. The chamber grew still once more, the Jade sphere floating silently above its pedestal. The knowledge remained, glowing softly, waiting to be shared by those who were worthy. Aaron looked around at his crew. We have been given a responsibility. Not to hoard this knowledge, not to use it for power, but to help both our worlds grow. That is the true gift. Mara smiled. And the Guardians will trust us to do it because we proved we can work together. The vessel began to turn back toward the exit of the tomb. Outside, the lake was calm again, the sunlight filtering through the water. The green shimmer of the jade sphere followed them like a guiding star, a reminder that the tomb's trials were not punishment but teaching. Olin spoke quietly. No one in Luma's history has ever chosen to share. This is a first. You have changed everything by your decision. Rima nodded. And perhaps, for the first time, our worlds can move forward without fear or suspicion. The Guardians knew that knowledge alone is not enough. Wisdom and choice matter more. Darren shook his head in disbelief. I still cannot believe we made it through. From the lake to the tomb, to the trials and the Guardians, it feels like a dream. Aaron smiled faintly. It is real. And now it is our duty to turn it into a future worth protecting. We cannot waste the gift the warriors have given us. The jade sphere pulsed one final time, sending a warm glow through the chamber. The warriors slowly turned and disappeared into the shadows, returning to their eternal watch. The tomb would remain, silent and hidden beneath the waters, ready for the next worthy travelers, but the treasure it guarded would now travel beyond its walls. Aaron felt a deep sense of peace. The crew had faced fear, tested strength, and solved puzzles of trust and unity. The final trial had been the hardest, yet it had proven humanity's true strength, the ability to choose wisely, even when power tempted them otherwise. As the vessel reached the shallows of the lake, the sunlight broke through the water, sparkling like scattered diamonds. Humans and Luma villagers waited above, curious and cautious. Aaron knew that sharing the knowledge would not be simple, but the first step had been taken. Both species could now learn from the past, work together, and build a future neither could achieve alone. Aaron turned to his crew. We have a gift. And now, it is time to honor it. Together. The vessel rose to the surface, the jade sphere glowing faintly behind them, a silent guardian of the wisdom they had earned. Outside, the lake was calm, but it seemed alive with promise. The sun reflected on the water, green and golden, as if celebrating the choice that had changed the course of two worlds forever. The vessel broke the surface of the lake as the green sunlight reflected off the water. Aaron breathed deeply, feeling the cool air fill his lungs. The lake seemed calm, almost serene, but he knew its depths held secrets that few would ever witness again. Behind them, the jade tomb rested silently beneath the water, guarding its mysteries while the crew carried the greatest treasure above. Humans and Luma villagers waited on the shore, curious and tense. When they saw the vessel rise, both groups held their breath. Aaron climbed out first, the crystal sphere held carefully in a protective container. The villagers' eyes widened at the soft glow emanating from the sphere. Mara, Darren, Olin, and Rima followed, each exhausted but filled with a quiet excitement. One of the elder villagers, a tall figure with smooth greenish skin, stepped forward. You survived the tomb, he said in their language, his voice a mix of awe and respect. And you bring what was lost for centuries. Aaron nodded. Yes. But it is not only for humans, nor only for Luma. It is for both of our peoples. Together, we can use it to learn, grow, and build a better future. The villagers whispered among themselves, unsure whether to trust the strangers. But the sphere pulsed gently, as if affirming Aaron's words. Even the most cautious elders felt the sincerity in his voice. Rima stepped forward, addressing her people. The tomb was a test, not a gift to be hoarded. The Jade Warriors trusted us because we chose unity. That trust now belongs to both our worlds. We must honor it together. Darren let out a small laugh of relief. I still can't believe it. We faced the warriors, the traps, the maze, and the tomb itself. And we all made it? Mara smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. We didn't just survive, Darren. We succeeded because we worked together. That is what the tomb wanted to see. The villagers approached cautiously, and Aaron stepped forward to meet them. This knowledge can help you with water purification, farming, and healing, he said. But it will only work if shared wisely. We must teach each other and learn together. One of the younger villagers, curious and bold, reached out to touch the protective container. The sphere glowed brighter, but nothing harmful happened. The child's eyes lit with wonder. Aaron smiled. See? It responds to respect, not fear. Slowly, the tension eased. Humans and Luma villagers stood side by side, discussing plans, asking questions, and imagining what could be done with the treasure. The sphere's glow seemed to reach into their hearts, inspiring hope and cooperation. Olin watched silently. I never imagined humans would choose to share instead of take for themselves, he said. This day will be remembered in our history forever. Aaron looked at the elder villagers. This is more than knowledge. It is a chance to build trust between our peoples. The tomb tested us, the warriors tested us, but now it is our turn to prove that we can honor their lessons. Rima nodded. Yes. And if we succeed, the bond between our worlds will grow stronger. Fear and suspicion will no longer guide our actions. The sun reflected off the water, casting golden green light across both communities. Aaron felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity's true strength had been shown not in technology or weapons, but in the ability to choose wisely, to cooperate, and to value others equally. Mara turned to him, her eyes bright with hope. We have a chance to make a difference. Not just for us, but for everyone who comes after. Aaron nodded. The tomb will remain beneath the water, guarding its secrets. But the wisdom we carry can change the future. Together, humans and Luma can create something neither could do alone. The villagers began moving closer, eager to learn. The sphere's glow illuminated their faces, showing curiosity, determination, and trust. Aaron felt the first real sense of a new beginning. Darren shook his head in amazement. I thought we were just explorers chasing legends. But we became part of history. Aaron placed a hand on the sphere's container, careful not to block its light. Legends become history when people act with courage and wisdom. Today, we honor both. The Jade Warriors entrusted us, and now it is our responsibility to carry that trust forward. The humans and Luma people work together to carefully transport the sphere to a safe place near the shore. Plans were already forming how to use the knowledge for farming, clean water, and healing. Both species were learning from each other, sharing ideas and skills. Aaron felt a warmth he had never known. This was what he had hoped for: understanding, trust, and cooperation. The lake remained calm, but it shimmered as if acknowledging their success. Somewhere deep beneath the waters, the tomb and its guardians rested again, waiting silently for those who would honor the lessons of the Jade Warriors. Aaron took a deep breath, looking at the horizon where humans and Luma villagers now work together. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. The future belongs to all of us, and together we will make it strong. Mara smiled. Yes. Together. The sun shone brighter over the lake, the water sparkling in green and gold. A new alliance had been forged, born from courage, wisdom, and the choice to act with unity. The Jade warriors had given their greatest gift, and now, humanity and Luma would rise together, carrying the knowledge, hope, and trust into the future. Above the lake, the sky reflected the promise of a better world. And for the first time, both species knew that by working together, they could achieve more than they had ever imagined. The adventure had ended, but the story of cooperation, courage, and the treasure beneath sacred waters would be told for generations. Humanity had proven itself. The Jade warriors had smiled in silence. And the future was bright.